Hey there, fight fans. Today in this video, former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker ridiculed the champ Israel Adesanya that Adesanya writes down the names of all his abusers in a small black book. Whittaker also admitted that he will not be fighting Khamzat Chimaev. Now, millions of fans were upset when they learned about the postponement of the fight between Charles Oliveira and Benil Dariush. And now, former UFC Lightweight Champion Charles Oliveira finally broke his silence about what happened, which led to the cancellation. And Alexander Volkanovski said that for the sake of his upcoming fight with Islam Makhachev, he is ready to become a reserve fighter in the fight against Daryush. Not only that, but at the end of this video, not only do we delve into the drama surrounding Charles Oliveira's injury, but we will also bring you exclusive reactions of the reigning UFC Featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski. He is not too pleased with Max Holloway's victory over the British Arnold Allen. Now, Georgian fighter Merab Dvalishvili continues to shock his fans. A video appeared on social media in which Dvalishvili decided to arrange an extreme photo session of himself and almost fell from a high-rise building. So, let's jump right in. But before we kick off the video, I just want to ask you guys, please do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate it, so thank you in advance.
No, actually, are you serious? Yeah, Jeff saw it. Jeff, you get a video? Well, I don't want to saw it because it happens a lot. It happens to fighters because when you cut weight, yeah, things get moving out there. I was cut weight.
I'll kill every motherfucker in here for this man. You want it? You want it? You want it? All day! All day! Fucking day. Hey, say a word! Say a word! You say one word! That's what.
In an interview with Submission Radio, former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker ridiculed Israel Adesanya for saying that he writes down the names of all his abusers in a small black book, saying, "Man, how can you take revenge on a 5-year-old child? When someone offends him, what does he do? He writes the name in his book, and after 10 years, he returns to this. Dude, Israel has a little black book in which he writes down the names of everyone who crosses his path." Robert Whittaker also said that he has no plans on fighting Khamzat Chimaev. He stated that the fighters should gradually rise up in the division rankings and not immediately get a fight with a top opponent, saying Chimaev is not ranked in the division. He said this during the MMA Hour interview. "I don't like it when fighters want to fight leaders right away. Ratings are not created in vain, right? I'm ready to take on top 5 fighters because they are the best of the best and they deserve their chance to fight their way through the division. Gradually moving up is much more difficult than instantly hitting the top. I mean, there have been people that had just one fight and then fought for a title like Pereira did. Then there are fighters in the top 20 who would pose more of a challenge to Pereira than Adesanya, and everyone knows this. That's why I like top 5 fighters. They, like me, worked their way to the top. You must go up defeating all rivals. This is the system that we have, and it should be respected."
Let's be honest, it's not like I'm going to get paid extra cash for taking a fight with zero significance to moving towards the title. Khamzat's, whilst he's a good welterweight, he hasn't fought at middleweight. Like he's not a ranked top 10 ranked fighter in middleweight. He's a great fighter, and I think he can be for sure. But you know, you got to do due diligence, right?
Now, former UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira spoke about the circumstances of his injury that led up to the cancellation of the fight against Benil Dariush, saying, "I couldn't train because I got injured during wrestling practice. I tried to continue training. I did everything in my power, but I couldn't, and we had to withdraw from the fight. I had to take a break from training for a few days, and then I'll be back in the gym and we'll reschedule the fight. I will resume the preparation process soon. I have a minor injury, and we decided to take a little delay so as not to fight injured. Once we made such a mistake, and I do not want to repeat it again. We are taking a step back so we can take 2 or 3 steps forward very soon." Just 2 days earlier, the lightweight bout was ruled out for UFC 288 on May 6th. But according to the rumors, it will be moved to the UFC 289 event, which will be hosted in Vancouver on June 10th. Now, Alexander Volkanovski said that for the sake of the rematch with Islam Makhachev, he is ready to become a reserve fighter for this fight, saying, "We have to do it. You just need to understand when it will happen. Would I be ready to fight him in Abu Dhabi? Yes, I'm ready to fight anyone, anywhere. I was ready to replace him in the fight with Oliveira on short notice." Now, Volkanovski intends to achieve his revenge at any cost, because in the first fight, he was pretty close to a resounding victory. Even some experts and many fans still consider the final decision of the judges to be very controversial. Therefore, Volkanovski himself has reason to think that he has been offended. Now, the Great is also offended by the fact that after the first fight, he quickly agreed with Makhachev about a rematch.
This time Abu Dhabi.
Yes, that's fair.
3.
But apparently, everyone else has forgotten about it. But if the organization nevertheless agrees to Volkanovski's conditions and makes him a substitute, he will definitely be preparing to the max in order to get a second attempt at beating Islam. And as you can imagine, a defeat from the little guy from a lighter weight category could hit Makhachev's reputation pretty hard. And for the UFC, Volkanovski's win would be incredibly profitable because a potential trilogy of the Russian and the Australian could become one of the most high-profile trilogies in the history of the organization.
When the entire world is arguing over who won, you have to do that fight. I mean, the guy came out and absolutely dominated a stud that night, and then you have the rematch.
Volkanovski has also expressed his disappointment in Max Holloway since he eliminated Britain's Arnold Allen from the list of contenders for the title. The Aussie also mentioned that he is now facing Yair Rodriguez and plans to be active. Volkanovski addressed Holloway after their fight saying, "Get out of my division, stop beating my contenders." But Holloway has done it again, and Volkanovski wonders why Holloway is still in his division. Volk admits that Holloway looked great, but after 3 losses, it doesn't make sense for him to have a 4th fight. So what do you think? Would you like to see another Volkanovski versus Holloway? Let us know in the comments. And moving on. Merab Dvalishvili is an excellent fighter. He performs very well in the UFC, however outside of the octagon, his antics defy common sense because he recklessly risks his life. The fighter continues to perform something pretty unimaginable. As you remember, everyone laughed for a long time at his attempt to swim in the hole and got a broken head. And at one of the recent UFC events, Merab tried to climb into the stands to sort things out with a fan.
Hey, you want it?
And now Dvalishvili has decided to risk his health again. A video appeared on social media in which Dvalishvili decided to arrange an extreme photo shoot for himself. This behavior caused outrage among many fans who began to criticize him for his recklessness and neglect of the terms of his contract with the UFC. Because when signing a contract, the athletes are not to undertake anything and risk their health, and they are to avoid any dangerous sports during their contract. It also remains an open question whether there will be a reaction from the UFC brass and possible sanctions against Merab for his reckless behavior. Because again, he signed that contract. He's not to engage in anything crazy. So let us know what you think down in the comments below. That is all for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to support us by liking and subscribing. And thank you very much in advance.